Good evening everyone to an ASMR special edition. Usually I would live stream this on my main channel, but as the YouTube algorithm currently somehow promotes some other videos each time I live stream, the algorithm stops promoting, so can't live stream on the more random live channel right now, so special edition here. Of approximately 15,000 US dollar, when new in 1990, at that time high-end Sun SPARCstation 2 workstation, 40 megahertz, so similar to a 386, 48 megabyte of memory, and need to keep my vintage and retro stuff tested. Subversion update of our main sources. I only quickly not only wanted to test that it still works, and my salted battery is dead. Probably need to clean the RTC mod there. But I'm actually surprised we made a more live video a year ago. Yes, at that time we could run X still on this Sun CG6 frame buffer, even with a little bit of acceleration. Certainly state of the art in 1990. You did not have this on probably any PC at that year, potentially, maybe. So we probably soon will have the subversion updated, so that is subversion update from maybe 4 years, some 25,000 revisions. So it was checked out before, it's only an update. I'm actually surprised that this kind of works at all. You can basically, I mean, ASMR, right? Comment below. You only want SCSI sounds. You will soon have more SCSI sounds. I mean, this is absolutely certainly slow code ASMR Guru Meditation Edition. And earlier today, without video, I actually already updated the Ultra 5. I got that out, overclocked it to 400 MHz again, previous video. And actually built, actually I probably should have updated that, but with the next update of the website, I committed this already, there will be a performance index. I think it took quite precisely 30 minutes to natively compile Bash on this 400 MHz overclocked Ultra 5. So ideally I only wanted to get, yes, who else is so insane and benchmarks the 40 megahertz Sun Ultra Spark 2 from back in the day. And this, by the way, if one of those subscribers are actually looking for a power up, Vitek power up 80, I believe 80 megahertz, doubling the performance with that simply but totally rare and unavailable CPU upgrade. I would so love to have a Vitek power up CPU upgrade for this machine. This should not run that long. Also, it's like, yeah, Ryzen. Hey, it took, I mean, this was uncached, right? So, not that much. Even Ryzen needs 1.7 seconds. And that certainly is 1,000 magnitudes slower. I actually, so this is already up. I didn't live stream instantly, up 48 minutes. And I'm extremely surprised that this is as stable. It could, however, I have some segmentation faults. So that was, I mean, some unimplemented SPARCstation calls. This stuff might be fixed in our Linux distribution. Like if you wanted to run such amazing stuff in your attic or basement playing along at home, such stuff might be fixed in our T2 trunk. I'm just not reinstalling our Linux distribution each time on all this vintage and retro gear, right? So hopefully later we have a performance index. I mean, compiling a Hello World is less than 10 seconds. Maybe it was 5 or 6. Oh, and if you have an overclock trick for the CPUs, some Ultra Sparks can overclock a little bit. So I overclocked my 360 megahertz Ultra 5 to 400. More does not work, more instantly looks up. And so, yeah, if you have maybe desoldering some oscillator, I don't know, series. So yeah, it's a pity that Subversion doesn't display progress bar though. It's probably some X file system, maybe X2. I installed this 3 years ago or so, or 4. One of the more previous videos. Oh, and if you want to share, like, subscribe, Patreon, YouTube membership, and don't forget there is usually, this is the main channel where we usually have more quality videos, and then there is this more random live channel where such stuff is usually live streamed, right? And so proc mounts, oops. Yeah, X2. Also, I have on my to-do, my glorious, probably soon reaching 500 lines to do. Theoretically, some day between soon and forever. So, someday soon, someday between now and forever, I will benchmark file systems on some slowish system. Maybe not this one because it's a little bit too slow probably, and it's not entirely stable, so it could kernel loops. That is the last kernel that I could ever get work on, and this support obviously for SPARCstation 2 was deleted in the meantime. So we're running 2639, and I believe even that might include some reverts because support for that obviously was broken back in the day, as it usually is, and it was then deleted with 3.12 or something where it was broken anyway. Alright, I think I had to, so maybe this was not entirely broken. I think now I remember I probably had to fix the SCSI DMA, which was either broken or never implemented. And I think David S. Miller did not want it to have the patch. Maybe he didn't even answer, because who cares about 40 MHz machines, right? Anyway, so yeah, that is checking out. Here, stuff. Also, Mr. Clems asks, Linux 6 when? On the Ultra 5, you will not believe, for the Ultra 5 I actually installed the latest cross-compiled kernel from my Ryzen 7 FX. Of course, on the Ultra 5 I tested that, and as usual there is always something good coming out of these things, right? If you're wondering why does this strange CEO on YouTube with this fancy little company, why is he bothering with all this stuff? I mean, not only do I have here the mission to build one of the best Linux distributions, obviously, but also testing that I discovered I actually slightly broke SPARC64 in not actually installing since quite precisely 1 year the stripped and compressed kernel. So it's already, each time, yeah, the only substitute for testing is more testing. And we test here, right? I want to release the next release, and the more bugs I find, the better. So one SPARC64 improvement coming out of that, maybe some other things. And then I noticed we could fix this. Theoretically, I wanted to do that here, which, by the way, which VI do I have here? Probably NVI. User bin VI. Yeah, NVI. Obviously, Vim. Yeah, shall I subscribe if we would want to run Vim with syntax highlighting here on this. When this is done, we will build something for more ASMR SCSI goodness. And I found another bug already on the overclocked 400 MHz Ultra 5 that I got out today. That is when the build time is the reference build time, because I emerged NeoFetch or something like that. And that has a reference build time of 1. Should we run this here? Let's. Actually, hey, NVI starts in just. Hey, 0. Hey, that's even freaking fast. If you're wondering why I did previously until recently for you playing along at home used NVI, it's like, hey, which other editor starts in tenths of a second on a 40 MHz machine, right? We migrated to Vim. So the bug is, which we need to fix, maybe we do this, should we do this on the You know what? For total kicks and giggles, let's try to do this on the obviously right. Right, can't run SVN info because we subversion checkout. So the bug is in build package. Okay, source editing. So, by the way, this is over secure shell, right? So there is a little bit of extra latency and processing time because this fancy little 40 megahertz machine without integer. This is so old. This does not even have hardware divide and multiply. Or does it have multiply? Maybe not. So it's doing multiply. If you're wondering how does it do multiply and divide, it is doing this with a software library, right? So implementing that with shifts and adds and stuff. And it has a multiply step, I believe. Probably it has nothing in terms of divide. It has a multiply step, which probably you need to run. I once looked into the details, but that was 10 or 15 years ago. So you need to run this multiply step or even divide. Actually, we could check the Spark version 7. It has some S whatever. Doesn't have multiplication division instruction, but it has mul SCC, which does one step of the multiplication, testing one bit and conditionally adding the multiplicand to the product. This was because mul SCC can complete over one clock cycle in keeping with the RISC philosophy. So I guess the software library glue code for that needs to run this probably between 1 and 32 times, I believe, for 32-bit multiply, and probably it doesn't have any division, right? So it's probably the only software support for that, but I would need to I wouldn't do whatever details. So yeah, I mean, editing, right? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, if you were wondering why does this thing costed $15,000, which of course you can fact check. I did so some year ago, live on my other channel. This is highest end gear, right? Memory management, also isolated frame buffer, SCSI, and so on, right? And Ethernet. And then of course Sun slow library software. But at that time there were 386 and stuff, right? And this is bloat. This is pure software bloat, right? We are running here fat glibc, a 30 years, 20 years, 20 plus years later glibc GCC. So this is 20 years of bloat of, yeah, the compiler is optimizing more. The glibc has more features, the Linux kernel too. So of course in 1990 you were running Borland Turbo Assembler and Turbo C on DOS or stuff, or Windows 3, whatever, right? So obviously, while you had way less powerful DOS and Windows software, you were simply running less large and bloated software, right? Like NVI, period correct stuff. And obviously the compiler was orders of magnitudes smaller and not partially written in C++. And so yeah, obviously compiling a C++ hello world probably takes 20 plus seconds or whatever. I control-C'd that earlier because I didn't want to wait so long. Obviously even our T2 Linux, you did not even have subversion, right? If you were lucky, maybe you were using CVS, the concurrent or so versioning system, which obviously totally sucked. And I hated so much in 1998 already that obviously I didn't really quite ever use it much. And so yeah, obviously subversion, HTTP here, potentially, maybe, and not sure if that is a subversion version which is already using SQLite. We could check that, because the new version of using some 6 megabyte or so of swap. Thinking. Yeah, SQLite. So this is running a full-blown tiny SQL or SQL. I actually wanted to pronounce things, not how I, in my opinion, think they make more sense. SQL, not SQL. SQL. Groyton chimes in. Assumes the biggest issue now is limited size of caches. Yeah, and general lack of hardware multiply divide, only 40 megahertz, and certainly the memory. I could theoretically plug in more memory. I have 3 modules in there, and certainly not so large. Probably I have 16. What do I have? 16? Is it 3 times 16? Yeah, I mean even the 48 is already when I probably got it without memory. And even this is upgrade of spare stuff that I found lying around. So the bug, it's a little bit harder to test here. So I could fix the bug there, but testing is more difficult. So the bug, the second bug that I found on the Ultra 5 already, is that if a package with our new build time estimation, if you build a package even on no, it doesn't matter. If you, on any machine, you build, for our build time estimation that T2 displays now, if the first package has a reference time of 0, it leads to a division by 0. So let's quickly fix that. We also could actually add that there, right, for a little bit more views. Let's delete the ref time here on my Ryzen. Oops. Maybe NeoFetch something that builds fast. Yep, the font is comic code, that is correct. Okay, this did not division by 0, why not? This build time on... Why did this not... Okay, that's interesting. Did I fix this something already? Alright, I have some. Does GNU.org behave differently? Does division by 0... Okay, it could be another GNU.org version or Bash, whatever you're using. Interesting. So much to testing, more testing. Why did it crash on the Ultra 5? Mr. Clem Commons' son had some pretty neat stuff back in the day. I believe the first SMP systems. That is single CPU, yes. I'm not sure when they added SMP. By the way, this where I recently read the book from Tsutomu Shimomura, I believe. Was it a takedown with Kevin Mitnick versus hacking there and so on. I read this initially in German. I found it only by pure chance and accidents in a bookstore when people still went to a bookstore 20 years ago. And I just wanted to remember all those details because I find this rather interesting. And that is in that day, as in early 1990s, Kevin Mitnick hacking there and being tracked down, hunted down. This is exactly this generation of systems, right? Sun, SPARCstation, and whatnot, and also portable Spark book things from this portable Sun company, Top, whatever the name is. Sun book portable Spark T Top, whatever. This will. Yeah, Tadpole or something. I never have seen one of those. Had I not written this book, I might not know that they exist. Where is my... Oh, right, actually I moved it there. There, I moved it. So yeah, how to fix actually. So I believe does this compute even a reference time with the division by 0? What is happening here now? You know what, we probably can S-trace that. Yeah, good that we did this on the Ryzen. Remember reading that, must have been 20 years ago. You don't have a bar? What do you mean with bar? Don't have a bar? What do you mean with bar? I have no idea. Build time. Or did I... What did we do? Stage level? Whatever. Or did I just... here. Build time? Yada yada. Whatever. Something. Store reference time. Probably... Here. So here... Ah, right. Because the build time isn't greater than... at least, this is how this triggers. Okay, so this is how we reproduce it. There some features, probably already 10 quirks of our build time estimation stuff. Let's change that to, so this is just a local test, what, greater than 1, whatever. So that probably, this is so much to, I was already wondering whether GNU.org or BC or whatever, or bash division would trap differently on Spark. Yeah, so that is division by 0 attempted GNU.org. Yeah, that was what I was looking for. And okay, we don't need to do it the most tricky way. So that was the build issue or thing I noticed. And GNU.org build time, so we have here ref time. So ref time, by the way, I recently, does GNU.org has, maybe GNU.org, I mean, we don't always need to use each trick. I think GNU.org has a GNU extension for this comparison operator. I just read this recently, just some weeks ago. I believe you can leave this out, maybe even for GNU-C as an extension. This even, wait, is it comparison? No, I want to, okay, we can test this. Maybe, right, I read this for, actually, this was for GCC. Does GNU.org support the same? Switch. Sorry for this flickering, I just switched the... Assignment, where is, no, I wanted forward search, but that, no. Does this somehow, here, no, it is, I overlooked this, there it is. Why does this not? Always when you search for something, it's also somewhere just hard to see where this highlights. Okay, fine. Let's try if it works. So ref time greater. How was it? This GNU extension. I mean, we could simply, like, if you would write this normally, it would be greater 0. Greater 0 and ref time. So we could try if this works less. I mean, it should only be Let's see if that works, or I wanted to read the manual, didn't find it instantly. The question is always, is it reverse to write it that short? Alright, what did I do? Syntax error, okay, probably, maybe then only GCC supports this, so much to that. Okay, so let's write it more readable. If it's greater 0, then ref time, otherwise 1, so that we don't have a division by 0. So that would be the minimum of 1 second. It's a little bit too many parentheses here, but do we need a space here, just so that it's not as excessively long? Okay, that's still... Oh no, this did not error out. This actually worked, so just we don't see the... So 0, okay, so this expands in shell, right? So 0 greater 0, then the 0, otherwise 1. This didn't error out. What build time did we get? Okay, 18,100, okay, whatever, I guess. Better than nothing. We're still, SPARCstation is still busy. Panel, you mean our panel. No, I don't have, I mean, this is, I don't need this on this is just this way. I mean, actually, wait, yeah, there is a panel that I don't really use. It's just because I have a 16 by 10 display. There are some 100 pixels missing, so, which is not the worst thing. So that's basically my main, but I don't use the sway bar, right? Sway bar it is. Right now I'm using sway, otherwise also hyperlink. Yeah, but basically I don't use this kind of sorter really at all. I mean, it's just I only need a kind of sorter browser and terminal, right? So we also modified here this one here. What was it? What did I have here? Maybe 1,000. Whatever I had there. That might be more than 10 seconds or so. Okay. Ref time greater 0 ref time. So let's probably RM that and see that's still like bash. And then we will continue on the SPARCstation. By the way, some keyboard mark, obviously. But I use it daily, so that's it special. I use it with a previous video, DIY USB converter to some serial protocol. Yeah, I expected people love the SCSI hard drive. This is probably not the original, but it came with it. Because this is a Seagate Media list ST3450. No, it's 34520N with whatever is that. Where's the size written? Not sure if it is 4 gigs. Oh, 4.5 gigabyte. I'm pretty sure what they still sell new ones for $675 freaking dollar. Oh my god. What an upgrade to this workstation. Where is the specs for those? I'm pretty sure that was released after this. This must be some years later. Whatever, I guess. Does support smart or? Did it even came with no, whatever. But I think it probably came with a SPARCstation. Yeah, you don't want to obviously develop software on that today, I guess. By the way, regarding the price, probably this price there probably when new, state of the art back in 19 whenever. Probably that was the price back in the day. I guess whatever. We could have smart control on this. Should we feel lucky? Oh, did something. Wow, 7,200 freaking RPM. So the local time is not entirely correct because I didn't have NTP date and it was too lazy to. I mean, it's relatively close, but I didn't. Like I ballpark estimated the time when I set it. Also, would this be reasonable for 2003 maybe? I have so no idea when this was. Anyway, current drive here, so early smart implementation. A little bit off. Surprised this worked though and didn't like crash or stuff. Oh, sense key. That's not amazing. Also, this drive had already bad sectors. I have a note here that in 2017, maybe for YouTube or whatever, so I low-level. Also the first time I ever low-level formatted a SCSI drive. I did this when I was 8 or so on our 386 or so, whatever, with this MFM drives. Not sure if I ever low-level formatted an IDE drive. Maybe our first one was 40 megahertz potentially. But yeah, 2017. And because this had too many bad sectors and was misbehaving, yeah, low-level formatted that, probably with Linux, I guess. And that really survived it. I didn't expect that. And since then it actually worked better, so go figure. Low-level format your precious SCSI drive and it works better again. But yeah, of course, it's a testament that this works at all. Especially, I mean, not only when I got the first one for free for scrap and stuff in probably 2005. Even then, this was already so low end that I tried to boot it once. It was so slow and unusable, unstable and stuff with our T2 Linux. I probably played with it for a day in 2004 or so. At that time, it's like, yeah, put it on the shelf. And only 2017, here for this YouTube channel, I resurrected this and ever made these efforts, and I optimized the heck out of T2 right. So not only I mean, of course you don't want to use it right. It's more like a gimmick maybe. Oh, by the way, theoretically we could. I probably try to go to the Vintage Computer Festival here in Berlin in October. I believe 15th maybe. So we could actually do a local meetup there. Probably announce this also in the YouTube channel membership thing. I'm not sure if I will go there with hardware because I'm just too busy to just go there with my fancy stuff. But it certainly shows how much dedication and efforts we put into making T2 one of the most amazing Linux distributions, that this is even possible, right? Sure, it's not the latest kernel. It's the last possible to get working. I even optimized the system init boot scripts because when I first tried to ever use it in 2004, because the way we used a for loop to print the dots, and you see we boot our Linux distribution, so even you could see the dots painting because this was for sequence in terminal with echo -n a dot or so, and I totally used extremely tricky printf stuff to dynamically generate this prints probably 2 orders of magnitudes faster. It's like, yeah, 40 megahertz, you can't even in shell loop. I mean, it's also ridiculous that shell loops are that inefficient, but yeah, process forks and stuff. I would hope we come to an end. It is here in architecture, targets and stuff. I'm not sure how alphabetically sorted it gets it. I guess Subversion gets it relatively as stored in the trees in the database or stuff. But we have here a little bit of a break, so and we Subversion updated. Can we get some share, like, subscribe, or even Patreon for that? I'm so surprised. Also, when I initially got this booting, I don't quite. I only Subversion updates this because we modified one file, right? So let's see how fast is the second pass without only like without 99% of those changes. It's reading some 10,000 files or so, right? We have 5,000 packages or so. Most have 2 or 3 files, so this is some 100,000 system calls, right? And 15,000 plus 20,000 or so files. So question there. How long does it take? How long does what take? You need to be more precise. The subversion update status, or it's running a minute or two, right? You basically hear the system. You can hear the system calls, right? Open, read, close, open, read, close. That is there on all the modern systems. Your Intel Optane, it's like here some, how many 100,000 IO ops? It's like here 20. So here it doesn't, like, only took a minute or two to figure out that a file changed. But here again, Subversion needs to open the SQLite database. It's basically open SQLite, huge SQLite database library. Then probably 50,000 file IO things of statting all those files, right? Modification time, whatever. Because it needs to communicate with the server, also lots of server, right? This is HTTP, probably S. I didn't check what I checked out, but some form of HTTP, maybe S. And so yeah, that's basically here one file. I should have been more clever to just SVN up scripts, but yeah, SVN up probably 2 minutes or maybe 3. Let's hope it doesn't say it's locked. So we wanted to build something, right? So the problem is this already took 40 minutes. I mean, we fixed at least one bug. It's probably doing in-system database memory stuff, as it is so IO idle. Yeah, database is locked. Yeah. You appreciate modern hardware. Don't use that slow machines. Often even a Mongo Pi is 1 gigahertz, right? How much memory was it? 1 gig? Wanted to build something. So actually what we could do already is run an old config. Or can we? It's how much IO. So because if we want to build something, we need a config. This is what $15,000 of highest end performance gave you in 1990. Of course, these are crazy high I/O operations, right? This would be in high-end configurations that with this size of hard drive might not even have existed back then. The only further upgrades would be the YTech SPARC power up, 80 megahertz. Spark and then more memory, and then hey, it would be more than twice as fast, especially with more memory, more caches, more buffers. Don't even have IO stat installed. Pity. patched in the newer updated ASCII or T2 logo, just for the kicks and giggles while we wait for. I mean, obviously this is a single CPU system, so it's running NeoFetch, and it's also crazy what high I/O load and running stuff NeoFetch consumes, implemented in shell and running this. Yeah. Now we have a proper nice modern T2 logo here for NeoFetch. Graviton writes, think they had the same drive, recognize exact same read-write pattern and condense seek time intervals. Well, the pattern would be, all the drives sounded like this, right? Except if you had even higher performance, ultra SCSI and stuff. But maybe even similar IDE drives could have kind of sounded like that, right? So chances are, I mean, there were probably 100,000 of different hard drive models over the years, so chances that you had just that, I mean, maybe a Seagate, but it would probably be hard. I mean, you probably would need to train, and if you want to differentiate Seagate from Western Digital, and then the I/O pattern is of course file system, right? Whether you run X2 like journaling, not journaling, and also the OS with scheduler, right? Also has different schedulers. So even in Linux, different schedulers you could select. But yeah. So for example, Riser file system, like if you really wanted to train, you probably could differ X2 and X3 and Riser maybe, certainly better FS and stuff. What I would want to benchmark is if back in that day, eventually other file systems than X2 would be higher performance, for example, maybe even like XFS on this kind of hardware. I have this on my to-do as I said initially. Yeah, again, so this is so slow. I mean, even on a modern system, it is not that fast, right? It's not that fast. It takes 1.4 seconds on a Ryzen 7 FX with, and that is with a RAID 0 LVM2 striped 2 NVMe. Gen 4, so that has 7 GB or so per second throughput bandwidth, I believe. So yeah, that is at least reading over 5,000 package files plus some surrounding stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it as a daily driver. Of course, if you run period correct software like a Linux from the 90s, certainly you would need one of those first supporting Spark. But even like the earliest T2 based Rock Linux or so, with much smaller software, you would have already better performance, right? But certainly running Sun OS back in the day with as super tiny as the software was, it was of course in a much snappier experience than using quite new GCC and a package management system that's working on over 5,000 files. That might come to a stop now. Running some things. Oh, that's not good. I was surprised that it was that stable so far. Memory corruption, fast, bash, glibc detected. Does this continue? Maybe we are lucky and it continues. The problem is, cannot duplicate. Oh, this is not ideal. Yeah, there goes that. I wonder because I'm surprised that it's that stable and survived everything so far. maybe I should still recap some of those. I have 2 of those though. I believe I got them together, donated in 2004. I said this before, right? Previous video, more live channel. The Sun IPX board without a case, so I got a SPARCstation 2, also with floppy missing, but nonetheless, highly appreciated, and a Sun SPARCstation IPX, only the board. And here, so at least I could test stability and plus QEMU, but I believe it probably was, I believe I built something in QEMU, so if it works in QEMU, I mean, of course QEMU does not emulate all those details, but obviously I stress the system more than it ever would have been stressed. Does this ever terminate now, or is it broken forever? I mean, I could build you a GCC Hello World. I did this earlier already. This is not fair though, because there's still something running in the background. I believe previously this took less than 5 seconds when cached. And by the way, you could leave in the comments below, because we now have this performance index. Ah, this is also finished. But let's time it. Now it's a little bit cached. We still have something running. Not sure if this will ever terminate. It's slightly broken as it is now. Is memory corrupted as it is? Actually, we could control set this. Okay, control set works. Yeah, 4 seconds something. So the other time was time shared with the other bash process stuff. So yeah, 6.124 seconds wall clock time. So yeah, 4.17. Yeah, and then imagine building a package, right? So building bash probably would take at least 3 hours. 5 hours probably. The question is, will this terminate, or should we Control C that? Even the process stuff like isn't instant, right? Like it's looking up all the stuff in procfs. I mean, maybe it would still terminate, maybe it wouldn't. No idea. Oops. But yeah, I'm extremely surprised given how fragile everything was when I first started to work on this in 2003, and then since 2017, that this works at all with this modern, which GCC version do we have? Probably not the latest, it's probably around 2017, or even slightly older for reasons. So yeah, it's 2010 maybe. Probably in 2017 I used the last build that I had. So, and welcome everyone. I tuned in later. So let's, I mean, ideally I would want to build one package. I could leave this running overnight, because the question, I have two more things. So the performance indexes, of course, you have seen this previous systems. We did, for example, did I G4 cube? Yeah, I took even the understood the G4 cube the other week. So yeah, 8 minutes 30 for bash. Didn't even bother to build bin utils, although that might have, and this also was the 1.2 gigahertz upgrade, right? Certainly living on the more relaxed, slow side of life. I wonder if we could further optimize this to not be that slow. Maybe an order of magnitude faster would already be nice, even for mediocre system from yesteryear. So yeah, I wonder slightly what I should use to performance index such older systems, because building bash for 5 hours certainly doesn't cut it. If we should use Lure, I mean that builds quite, how long does this build on Horizon? This download does work. I downloaded previously NeoFetch, I believe. So yeah, 1 second. Yeah. Slightly wonder what it does, huh? Oh no, it doesn't work. Even got 181k per second over this Ethernet. And there, imagine if I would not have recently optimized our T2, right? Previously, for the last 20 years, we recompressed the stuff, and here, without recompression. So, let's go, huh? All right, does this? Maybe it reconfigures. Okay, let's see. The config isn't valid, that is pointless. We need a valid config. Yeah, even the config run might take 5 minutes, you know. Bets taken. Will the config terminate or crash again? This time I leave it a little bit more. I try to abstain from running other top PSAs and stuff. Maybe I'm lucky and it finishes. If not, we probably should eventually optimize it. Huh? Share, like, subscribe, comment below. Should we optimize it to run on 40 MHz 386 and SPARCstations? Or is 486 or Pentium? It's the bare minimum these days. The fan in the background is of course the horizon, right? Obviously the SPARCstation doesn't make any additional sounds. Yeah, I guess we have to optimize our config stuff for 40 megahertz systems. How can this run so long? So this is only because we built a... Or maybe we don't build Mesa at all. Yeah, building Mesa 4. So this is a 32-bit, right? This is not a SPARC64, doesn't have these limitations that I just YOLO'd over there. But hey, at least it is quieter than Horizon in the background. And then Horizon has a Kraken NZXT AIO. Can this finally terminate? How can this possibly run so long? First I say I don't touch it, and then I touch it anyway. Yeah, it's running 3 minutes 26 already. I guess it's also, it is possible that this is running Lure, so that is running with this Lure shell plugin enabled. So with a Lure shared object loaded. which is more high performance than Bash, obviously. Guess time to optimize it. Groton asks, what kind of video controller does this SPARCstation have? That is a Sun proprietary accelerated frame buffer called CJ6. It's a relatively good one for the day. They had Sun, starting with 1-bit black and white, right? I believe BW2. Oh, cool. Okay, we even find here some issues. So yeah, it's also relatively high resolution, right? People on the PC world would have killed for that. That is currently outputting, let me check, I believe it's even outputting 10, oh, it's 1440, okay, but it's probably wrong. My neck display says 1440 by 900, but I'm not sure if that is, actually we could check that. It's at least 1280 by 1024, right, and 8-bit. That is really high resolution for the day, right? Probably this doesn't output that, right? Yeah, Sun CG. Although this is wrong for reasons. Did I patch that? Not sure. That is obviously wrong. Do I have FB set? No. CG. Okay. CG6 does not, apparently maybe not further. I mean FB set would tell us. Do I have, maybe I have from the last time the XOR config. Okay, that is using the default. It's running crazy long, it's absolutely crazy. Probably time to optimize our own stuff. Do they not lock the resolution for some reason? Really wish this stuff would terminate eventually. So at least it needs that, maybe, or we will, but maybe only Spark. Let's see if this new Intel also embedded. Ah, it does. We only added this for. Do we build the new Intel wireless daemon already? This could really terminate eventually. Yeah, 6 minutes is always way too long, even for 40 megahertz. I mean, I knew our config stuff is slowish, but if you daily work on gigahertz machines, you know, eventually, like, it's good enough. Bets taken. Will this ever terminate? So all those things, I only make a test build of how broken things are. Not that broken, so some of those things I know already. So I still, even with working daily, 24/7 and stuff, 365 days of a year, there's always something around on Python stuff, some this and that. Some PPP, did we not just fix? Oh, it is. We fixed this in the meantime. I believe this goes away if we rebuild Linux header. We fixed this live on Twitch if you wanna, because I didn't want to upset the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, of course, Rust stuff, right? Don't expect. So I'm not fixing Rust for... Actually, you know what? Theoretically, I guess... I mean, we could overlay this. You know what? Let's be fancy. Let's be crazy. This is for the crazy ones. For the round pigs wanting through the square hole or so. Because previously this was C++ only or so. So good thing is, by the way, the configure that now runs probably for 8 minutes or so. It was, I mean, on Horizon it's fastish, but obviously I noticed already on like an Atom or other things, it's already too slow for my taste. So at least it's some motivation of, we need to optimize that. So I'm just guessing some revision is probably fine. Overlaying this with some old C++ version. Hopefully that is a C++ version. We will find out soon. Yeah, that takes crazy long. Spoiler, you don't want to use a 40 MHz high-end workstation. 10 minutes. We need to freaking optimize it. I believe that's probably already so much to guessing a revision. So there is probably here, maybe that. Yeah, that really runs too long. What's going on here? Oh, maybe it didn't download. Did it download? Hotfix, no atomics. Diff. Cool. Now AMD GPU has its moment live here on this channel. The recurring moment of shame. For AMD GPU, Steam Deck, right? Oh, come on. Too many freaking... No, not making this stuff up, right? Happens every other day here, live on this channel. It's... Yeah, at least the CG6 is still live, right? Yeah, but that is too silly slow. That is a pity. The good thing is I think I fake this now. This is obvious. Oops. So obviously I should maybe have done this previously. So we probably can fake that. It's obviously not ideal, so yeah, putting our to-do to optimize that. Yeah. Thankfully our T2 config doesn't change the most. And yeah, I should. So if we, is this config complete? No, it's not complete. So we can just copy the old installation config. That probably is still good enough. And then, by the way, I have a screen here, right? I don't have Tmx, but oops. Ah, darn it. So much to accidentally look. What's going on here with this thing? Oh, right, this was this config. So how do we override? Probably with like this, because we need to override this text. I've never tried that. I never had to try that. So then let's try to build it that way. That is slow enough. I hope the also cool. That's a good start. So yeah, bashes sometimes. The question is it a system instability, memory? Certainly no upstream Linux developer will help us with the system. That's a bit unfortunate. Now, otherwise we can document as a performance index takes 6 seconds to build hello world. Oh, it wants boost. You got to be kidding me that this stuff needs freaking boost. That is ridiculous. It cannot be that. Did this ever freaking required freaking boost? That is just silly. Okay, fine then. There are no some provisioning profiles for Spark. All this work for nothing. Of overlaying this here. I mean, strictly theoretically. Okay, you know what? I hate to delete this here. What I just did. I wonder if this works, which would. I mean, okay. What would probably potentially work? Okay, let's try crazy things in our own. I mean, obviously, I don't know if such things. I never had to do that, which would be disabling this by default. And then instead of modifying our default selection, defaulting to the, oops, usually we select it, but then let's select it to the default. Let's see if that works. Oh, it works. So we overlay it, but disabled by, I mean, this is crazy stuff now. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, it's such extra, I mean, it's a testament of how generic we usually build stuff in general. But yeah, overlaying it, it could work if you have boost, but obviously I'm not cross-compiling or cross-installing boost here. It's certainly, oh, XFS procs, come on. What does it freaking want now? What? Oh, this is just some message from our thing? Oh, come on. But this is not generic, is it? Is this also already an overlay? Oh, it is. Okay, apparently, yeah, we're soon building on a SPARCstation. What did we build? Lua, right? Let's hope it doesn't do so much more stuff. Also, if you're wondering, in the long term, that could further, like if we spend more time optimizing stuff, that it's at least not completely insanely slow. It also doubles and triples your stuff on Intel's last gen core, whatever, right? And maybe bringing it down from 10 seconds to 5 or so, if we dare to further work on that. I don't know. It was not keep sources. Rendition? Maybe we just... I think this was accidentally disabled. You see, at least we multitask and work on some serious stuff, like IA64, certainly more high performance, gigahertz range dual CPU systems. Was it not rendition? So this was previously accidentally not enabled because it had a typo, I believe. Time to go home. The more typos I do. What else do I have here? Built for alpha, though, I believe. Can we just disable the docs then? Probably not. I mean, the right thing would be to fix this document stuff or so. Maybe it generated something. Maybe it created some empty file now. It's not docked, it's translation stuff. We're building, so our local Lua build, we have a Lua 5.1 copy embedded in our sources for this bash accelerator for 15 years already. And that probably built in some 5 minutes, let's see. But this is slightly newer, but probably not that much, not that significantly much changed. So. Shit, I just noticed this is not ideal. What a waste. 4 threads, this will not behave nicely. Scheduling 4 threads with that little memory. So much to copying our latest T2 stuff would delete that and use auto. Which actually we can try. It probably should work. But the question is now how much will it rebuild of these tools for the change config? Hopefully nothing if we are lucky. If we are unlucky, T2 will rebuild soft tools. It's always something. And certainly when you do such exceptional crazy stuff. But I mean that I noticed that, right? Could also be 30 minutes later, out of memory. Yeah. Or swapping to death. Was wrong? Shit, T2 is too intelligent. It found that now it rebuilds this. Usually it's not too big of a deal, but now it of course rebuilds this in 5 minutes time. I guess eventually it's time to abort this experiment, huh? This is why I had this. I was already wondering. This is a regression of mine. That explains where we had here. I wrote paste here. I forgot. But hey, yeah, soon building Lure again. Hopefully this time for real. It's also not ideal. I have the impression there is some memory corruption going on. That this, because the first time it worked, and this is a little bit too random, so I guess it's not full. Maybe also MMU, right? So this is... I guess we kind of thought... I mean, we could fake it more. At least it's not T2 all package build time stuff, but at least some approximation of if people consider getting, because I wanted actually to, as usual, I have some eBay, I said it before, I'd have some eBay searches running. Sometimes I would theoretically would be interested in some more pieces for the collection. For example, a current Linux kernel, Linus Torvalds Git head. Supported because the SPARCstation 5 and newer are still supported. They only deleted SPARCstation 2 and older because nobody cares obviously anymore, a decade ago. And people spend so much money, right? When I mean, it's already kind of wasteful for me to spend $100, but there was it was pristine condition SPARCstation 5 with original optical media and a handbook or stuff. I think people spend 500 freaking euro. And the thing is, I mean, sure, I mean, if you're a total Sun diehard fan, but seriously, why do I also, just yesterday, I believe, again, Matrox M3D card was auctioned for 150 something. My maximum bid was 150, and it's already probably it's approaching the 10th Power VR, and the crazy thing is you can't even really play games nicely, right? I only would want it for doing some Power VR example code and so on. Sure, there could always be other YouTubers and so on, but in a way it's also stupid to, I mean, the real value of the card is like $1, right? Or like if you're generous, like $19. I mean, it's not like you obviously can't play Crisis on that, let alone whatever, right? I mean, so even they are not even, in my opinion, it's neither extremely, I mean, it's, there's so many collectors that other cards also went for 200, right? People, I mean, for me, sure, could I theoretically spend more than 150? I mean, for me, theoretically, thanks to you watching Patreon, but I also don't want to spend all your Patreon money. I got for yesterday's or the other weekend's video, right? Apple Xserve, right? I auctioned in dead, does not turn on, Apple Xserve, latest generation, dual socket, 2.3 gigahertz, and even that is not the fastest. I auctioned that for €6.90. Sure, it was dead. I had to recap the PSU. Thankfully, it worked, recapping the PSU. But at least, hey, on the Apple Xserve, you probably could even play Crysis. My point is, like, sure, it's always nice to collect, certainly, like building a model train or whatever. Maybe people just like some SPARCstation 5. But anyway, it's like 500 or DEC Alpha, right? Don't even get me started. Why do I still don't have a DEC Alpha? Because I'm not spending 500 or even more euro or dollar on a freaking DEC Alpha, right? Just to support this Abandonware, vintage and retro Abandonware live here on this channel. So you see there, probably we will have a wall clock times, and we document this approximation, and then probably we add to our endless to do. I mean, I felt personally, I usually criticize lots of other people's imperfection here. And yes, I agree, our config should be faster. It's a little bit of implemented in shell with piping all this stuff through SED and GNU in not the most efficient way. But hey, we already isolated this with Lua. That's already 2 orders of 5 orders or 10 orders of magnitude faster than just doing it all in shell, SED, org and stuff. Maybe we need to offload more to Lua. We have this infrastructure in place. Maybe I should benchmark it. And the good thing is, even on a dual socket G5 or not upgraded G4 cube with just 450 or 500 megahertz, it will be in speed up. Right? Before you're wondering, why do I still spend time with this? Yeah, if you're doing this on an Atom netbook or UMPC or SGI Octane or all the stuff, like, then it doesn't take 30 seconds or so, right? Certainly on Horizon it's instant, but that is epic thread ripping territory. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, learned something. It was a little bit the usual bonus stream. Making sure everything really works, always finding some bug here and there. And this, of course, I step over this bugs here, still need to fix this eventually, and eventually I will, certainly for the next build. Okay, that is also building. Oh yeah, right, this probably should be fine. What else do we need to do? Do we have anything else in Archi? Oh, do we have any? We have some. Yeah, it's usually all over it, man. Yeah, whatever. I mean, theoretically, we could be super nice and just a little bit older what currently built there. It's building a garbage collector. And did I actually add this to the do already? Maybe I forgot. Ah, actually, hey, we did something. That's it. Last we optimize. I should probably have here. CPU is hopefully not running that hot, does it? Oh, a little bit air over the thing actually helps. So did we do all the stuff here? And desktop, Sun, IPX, theoretically capitalization, but whatever. I mean, the performance the performance should be identical to both of them. Yeah, I guess Lua, I mean, if we can build Lua in 5 minutes, it probably, because I was still thinking what performance index do we document for such vintage, retro, or otherwise low-end embedded systems, but maybe building lure in whatever 15 minutes is a fine enough performance index. Leave me in the comments below. Ah, this is not Vim. I don't even know it has NVI copy. How do I move a block of text? That's a good question. If you block correspondent, okay, it's text too long for me now. Yeah, it's whatever. I have Vim. So what are we? Probably 15 or so minutes. We distort the time a little bit by logging in a second time. It's a Unix. It's a professional risk workstation. We can log in a second time. Of course, if you're wondering why does it take so long, it's some key exchange, right? Some crypto. We are doing crypto on a CPU without hardware multiply and divide, so it takes some key exchange while, right? Right, 443. Really many. So probably 50 minutes to build Lua. I believe that is 5. What even is that? Latest version, whatever. Five, 4, 6. 20. 5, 4, 6. Let's GCC that. Oh, come on. What have I done? Don't tell me that is a version of 443. Don't tell me that doesn't do. 443. Ever misclicked there. Maybe mouse wheel. No LTO. I believe this was OS on. No, we do the defaults. What are the defaults? Oh, that's O2. Because we don't manually do. We manually do that. So I switch my OBS again. So what Linux kernel did we? 2.6 whatever. Oh, I switched my OBS again. So Linux whatever. Here, and that only has this original CPU. Are we finally? Oh, not yet done. It would be cool if does make have actually. You know what? We can actually read on. So now is it MX move? Actually, I want VI block correspondent text paragraph which will D instead of 60D. Okay, maybe it doesn't have visual select then, huh? I mean, obviously it doesn't have visual select. Yeah, okay, fine. So, we surely have something else to do, right? Whatever the time will be. To build lure, GCC 443, no LTO, -O2, Linux. Oh, also is out. Let's save that already, not that we accidentally delete that. Okay, otherwise finish some more stuff. Why do I have so many changes here? Okay. No, don't need that here. LVM, how many freaking files are this even? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you know what? We can check this on the horizon. Make should have more progress bar by default percentage thing. Lure 5, 6. This is intentionally not parallel. Oh wow, we need quite some more. LTM, there's LTM, so so 1, 2, so this is like half. LTM, LVM, still quite some to come. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have the feeling this will take 30 minutes. But yeah, then at least we finally have a... Oh, this is the wrong file. We finally have a performance index. Yeah, so that's, I guess we call it a day here. I go pack my things. So you know, some people are tuning in, so as long as you want to tune in. One of ours. Oh no, this is... you had to restart the stream for a reason. How did I close it? Oh, here. Here, 3 minutes a file. That's the thing. I mean, it's surprising it's not swapping more. (26 megabyte of memory plus surrounding). Or is it should, or is it, wait, is this, or is this K then? It's, whatever. 22 processors. Another assembler. Getting somewhere. 5 minutes per file or so. Hey, this small was filer built in 1 minute or 2. Should always copy that now. Run. We don't need to double check it. Yeah, I guess we can call it a day, right? We fixed some T2 Linux things surrounding this matter. This were probably built in 30 minutes, which, I mean, yeah, you don't want to run it as a daily driver, but given some orders of magnitudes of bloat, I mean, it's also surprisingly stable. I mean, sure, some segmentation faults here, but this is nothing compared to the completely unusable state in 2003. Maybe this goes away on SPARCstation 5 for maybe this MMU stuff. I think it's also like for sure software assistant MMU stuff of only doing half the MMU in hardware or so, of trapping and letting the kernel do the management or so, page walk and stuff. I guess the MMUs are all different for all those different Spark generations, so it is possible it was never stable. I mean, who knows if anyone ever used Linux on such SPARCstations for anything remotely production 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, not 20 years ago. More like 20 years ago. At the end of the 90s. Because it certainly was not a mainstream architecture, right? All the non-mainstream stuff was always proof of concept, a little bit working and stuff, and always lacked in features, optimization, stability to the x86, and other more mainstream stuff would have been PowerPC, even DEC Alpha, where Linus Torvalds wrote his diploma or so thesis, porting his Linux hobby operating system to DEC Alpha, as far as I remember reading that somewhere. I suspended the Ryzen, so now I can't tell you anymore. So we were at LVM, so I mean, we could, I'm logged in here, right? So I mean, yeah, we could actually, let's check my emails. You can enjoy the occasional SCSI click. And we're coming to an end. It's hopefully one of the last files. Lua compiler, wow. Hey, a little bit over my initial estimate of 50 minutes and a little bit under of my second estimate of 30 minutes. Also efficiency wise, yeah, 1 minute if you always one hot system is in kernel, right? So 24 minutes, 19 seconds in user space and 1 minute and 8 seconds in kernel for all the I/O buffers, caches, IPC, forking stuff and so on, plus in this case all the MMU assistant, software assistant MMU stuff. So I mean, okay, let's use this time here. We don't need to tell the people that this is without, I mean, because with T2, so running T2 overhead, it will be a little bit more, but I don't know how much now. So I guess 20, how did we usually write this? 20, 25 minutes, 50. I mean, yeah, okay, I mean, that was a time, let's use that. And let's use the same time for the SS2. Here's nodes. Okay, same node. Same performance, probably. I do not run both today. Ah, wait, it was Lua, right? Lua, GCC, no LTO02. So yeah, with all size or others, obviously you could cut down a little bit on stuff, but you obviously more than text editing and stuff. Mike asked, but does it run Crysis? Yeah, maybe if you run Crysis on a QEMU virtual machine with ASCII art streaming, then you probably could ASCII art text stream that from some cloud data center or across your living room or basement. So, or even, I mean, actually, if you were super crazy, maybe more than ASCII art, right? Certainly not at the full resolution of crazy 1280 by or 1150 or whatever by 1024. But if you optimize the out of that, maybe you could even stream some 320 by 320? Yeah, 320 by 240 or whatever with some video codec over network or stuff. So yeah. We have a Discord, yes, let me check. I posted this below some videos. The problem is they don't want to charge for permanent links, right? I always posted permanent links. It's a little bit underground. Maybe we should list it on our website. There was a share was somewhere like invite, right? Modify, very even servers. Ah, here, invite now. Do they still want money for never? Yeah, they're okay, fine. I probably need to check if our old links or old permanent links still work and copy and paste this. So there you go, 30-day link. David asked, does it run Crysis? Is a computer joke? Yes, I'm totally aware. I totally get this. I know that is a joke. I just answered to this joke. Yeah, but again, dead serious answer to this joke. Stream ASCII art or maybe even, I mean, 40 megahertz. Yeah, you're not getting much. So probably video codec. Yeah, you probably, I mean, maybe some extremely lightweight compression, like less than Intel Indie or whatever. Maybe some color reduction stuff, or probably, yeah, would be someone streamed. I mean, given that someone hacked some video codec to stream some kind of pre-rendered video. Was it even Apple? Was it Bad Apple on Bad Apple demo, some PC original XT super optimized. Here we go obviously not. Maybe it was that, but maybe it probably was that. So here, I mean, SPARCstation can certainly do better than that, right? If you wanted to. Like, hey, share, like, subscribe. Bad Apple demo on SPARCstation. I get ideas. My ideas are endless, just time and money. So maybe some Patreon super things. Let's commit this stuff and get out of here for today. For more random stuff to come. So list at least some initial Lure performance index for Sun, IPX, and SS2. Actually, maybe we do this in shell notation because or is it 2 hour whatever? Maybe this is 2 hour whatever. Maybe that is too fancy. Yeah, this is probably fine. List at least some initial Lure performance index for those. That's it for this video. I hope you had some fun and enjoyed this ASMR and work on such kind of. And hey, previous video, of course, I have a 40 megahertz 386. Also, I mean, yeah, maybe we should compare. Should we? Share, like, subscribe, comment below. Should we compare this with a Intel or AMD 386 DX40? I hope you enjoyed this and learned something, and to see you soon for the next one.